Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning to all. In the previous term, we have discussed in WebGIS subject about the basic web infrastructure. Okay, so I hope all of you must remember about that, the basics of web that we have discussed in the last term. Okay, so I will ask few of the questions regarding the previous term. So I am starting with Alok. Alok.
Yes, ma'am.
Alok, what is the basic working? What is the three-step working? How will you describe the working of web?
Ma'am, first HTTP request is made from the client. Corresponding to that request, a web server responds in HTTP. Then by get and post method.
Where get and post method will be used?
Ma'am, from client to request in HTTP.
Yes. Okay. Alok, your answer is not satisfactory. It is partially correct. जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट, है ना, कोई इतना बड़ा बात नहीं है, बस सोचते जाओ कैसे कैसे जा रहा है, अगले स्टेप पे कहाँ गया, फिर क्या करेगा, बताओ, एक एक करके शुरू से आंसर करना आप शुरू करो.
Ma'am,
Yes.
HTTP रिक्वेस्ट मैम क्लाइंट से मेड होगी बाय गेट एंड पोस्ट मेथड, और 8 मेथड्स और हैं टोटल, उसमें से गेट एंड पोस्ट मेथड का इस्तेमाल होगा. और मैम
नहीं, गेट और पोस्ट दोनों नहीं, दोनों में से कोई एक, 8 में से कोई भी एक हो सकता है, लेकिन उन 8 में से जो 2 हैं, विच इज गेट एंड पोस्ट, ये दोनों बहुत पॉपुलर हैं. तो यूजुअली जो रिक्वेस्ट करी जाती है वो या तो गेट से करी जाती है या तो पोस्ट से करी जाती है, और रिमेनिंग 6 से भी करी जा सकती है. चलिए, ये पहला स्टेप हो गया.
ठीक, फिर
बाकी लोग भी अपने एंड पे सोचते जाइए, ऐसा नहीं कि जिससे पूछा जा रहा है उसी को केवल आंसर करना है, बाकी लोग भी अपने एंड पे सोचिए क्या होगा आगे. कंटिन्यू.
मैम, आपने क्या कुछ पूछा था, प्लीज रिपीट कर सकती हैं?
किस तरीके से प्रोसेस होगा वेब पर जब कम्युनिकेशन होता है, ठीक है, वेब पर जब क्लाइंट एंड सर्वर के बीच में जब कम्युनिकेशन होता है, तो 3 स्टेप प्रोसेस, वे बेसिक वर्कफ्लो जिसको कहते हैं किसी भी वेब एप्लीकेशन का, वो क्या होता है, 3 स्टेप प्रोसेस होती है. फर्स्ट स्टेप इन्होंने पूरा किया कि क्लाइंट के साइड से रिक्वेस्ट जाएगी HTTP रिक्वेस्ट के फॉर्म में अमंग 8 डिफरेंट मेथड्स में से कोई एक मेथड, जो कि यूजुअली या तो गेट होता है या पोस्ट होता है, उसको यूज करते हुए आगे क्या होगा आलोक?
मैम देन वेब सर्वर रिसीव करेगा रिक्वेस्ट और इन URL के फॉर्म में, और उसको फ्रेज करेगा, मतलब तोड़ेगा अलग अलग.
नहीं, पार्स.
हाँ,
पार्सिंग.
पार्स, सॉरी मैम. और फिर वेब सर्वर HTTP के ही फॉर्म में रिस्पॉन्ड करेगा.
नहीं, सबसे पहले URL आएगा, URL को रिसीव करेगा, पार्सिंग ऑफ URL होगी. पार्सिंग ऑफ URL मींस URL को पैरामीटर्स में ब्रेक किया जाएगा, एंड एज पर द रिसीव्ड रिक्वेस्ट जो वेब सर्वर होगा वो या तो किसी स्क्रिप्ट को एग्जीक्यूट करेगा, जैसे डेट ऑफ बर्थ का आपको एग्जांपल दिया था कि आपने करंट डेट डाली और डेट ऑफ बर्थ डाली और उससे एज कैलकुलेट होकर आया, तो या तो इस तरीके का कुछ एग्जीक्यूशन होगा या फिर सिंपली कोई वेब डॉक्यूमेंट का रिक्वेस्ट होगा. तो अगर कोई एक्शन करना है, कोई स्क्रिप्ट एग्जीक्यूट करनी है, तो उस स्क्रिप्ट को एग्जीक्यूट करेगा. अदरवाइज कोई वेब पेज होगा जो डेटाबेस से वो फेच करके वेब सर्वर लाएगा. ठीक है, चलिए आगे आगे थर्ड स्टेप बताइए।
Ma'am, then server respond in the form of status code in the ma'am in the header form and data.
ओके,
Then connection will be closed.
फिर इनकम्प्लीट बता रहे हैं। जो HTTP रिस्पॉन्स के फॉर्म में होगा, जो रिप्लाई जाएगा वो HTTP रिस्पॉन्स के फॉर्म में जाएगा। HTTP रिस्पॉन्स में भी कई सारी चीजें हैं जो आपने पूरी नहीं बताई, जिसमें कैश कंट्रोल डायरेक्टिव्स होंगे, है ना। पब्लिक होगा, प्राइवेट होगा, मैक्स एज क्या होगी, माइन टाइप क्या होगा, देन स्टेटस कोड, ये सारी चीजें रहेंगी। और अलॉन्ग विद दैट उसका जो बॉडी होगा उसमें रिस्पॉन्स रहेगा। और ये रिस्पॉन्स रिसीव होने के बाद में कनेक्शन वहीं पर क्लोज हो जाता है। सर्वर कोई इंफॉर्मेशन क्लाइंट की मेंटेन नहीं करता, क्लाइंट जो रिसीव होता है रिस्पॉन्स उसको स्क्रीन पर डिस्प्ले कराता है। अब हो जाएगा, अगली बार के लिए सही से आंसर आएगा।
Yes, ma'am.
नेक्स्ट प्रवीण।
Yes, ma'am.
Praveen, what is the syntax of URL?
1 minute, ma'am.
Praveen? Syntax of URL? I'm not getting any response. प्रवीण, आपको नहीं आ रहा है? अगर प्रवीण आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं तो आपका ऑडियो नहीं आ रहा है। ओके, नेक्स्ट रुचि। प्रवीण आप म्यूट कर लीजिए, आपका ऑडियो मेरे पास नहीं पहुंच रहा है। रुचि।
यस मैम।
सिंटैक्स ऑफ यूआरएल।
मैम प्रोटोकॉल :/ होस्ट नेम।
यस यस करेक्ट, आगे बताइए।
मैम मैम इन ब्रैकेट मैम कॉलन पार्ट एंड स्लैश फाइल और पाथ नेम मैम।
ओके
मैम क्वेरी एंड स्ट्रिंग
सही नहीं बता रही है रुचि। यूआरएल जैसी चीजों में पार्शियली करेक्ट होने का कोई मतलब नहीं। जैसे मैथमेटिक्स होता है वैसे ये सब चीजें होती हैं, ये पार्शियली करेक्ट नहीं होंगी, या तो कंप्लीट करेक्ट होंगी या करेक्ट नहीं होगी तो वो चलेगा ही नहीं। फिर से बताओ इसको।
मैम प्रोटोकॉल :/ होस्ट नेम पार्ट स्लैश फाइल पाथ नेम मैम क्वेश्चन मार्क एंड क्वेरी डैश स्ट्रिंग एंकर मैम।
कुछ कुछ गलतियां हैं, इसको हम बता दे रहे हैं। पहली बात तो पार्ट नहीं होता, पोर्ट होता है वो, ठीक है। फर्स्ट प्रोटोकॉल : होस्ट नेम पोर्ट नंबर।
Yes,
और स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट में जो इससे पहले वाले आंसर में आप जब बोल रही थी बॉक्स के अंदर या ब्रैकेट के अंदर नहीं, वो आपको बस बताने के लिए कि दैट पार्ट इज ऑप्शनल। ओके, जब आप लिखोगे तब उसके ऊपर कुछ नहीं ऐसा है कि स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट बनाओगे, इट्स एन ऑप्शनल, बस इसको बताने के लिए वहां पर लगा हुआ है। देन स्लैश फाइल पाथ, ठीक था। देन क्वेश्चन मार्क, देन क्वेरी स्ट्रिंग, जो भी क्वेरी स्ट्रिंग आएगी वो आएगा। देन उसके बाद आपने नहीं बताया वो था हैश, ओके, हैश एंड देन एंकर। अभी तो उन्होंने लास्ट टाइम पे ही लैब में सीखा है इस चीज को।
Yes, ma'am.
देन हैश एंकर। सब लोग अपने कॉपी पे यूआरएल लिखिए। बेसिक सिंटेक्स ऑफ यूआरएल, प्रोटोकॉल कोलन डबल स्लैश होस्ट नेम कोलन पोर्ट नंबर स्लैश फाइल पाथ नेम क्वेश्चन मार्क क्वेरी स्ट्रिंग देन हैश एंकर टैग और सिंपल एंकर, हैश एंकर।
मैम अगर हैश नहीं लगाते तो गलत हो जाएगा मैम?
आप बताइए, आपका जब HTTP पे, अरे लैब जब आप कर रही थी, आप प्रीवियस लैब में थी ना?
यस मैम, मैम किया था, उसमें हो नहीं रहा था तो फिर मुझे लगा शायद बिना उसके वजह से हो जाएगा।
नहीं, हैश सॉरी, हैश के बिना नहीं होगा, हैश लगेगा ही लगेगा।
ओके मैम।
अगर सेक्शन मूविंग हो रही है पेज के अंदर सेक्शन में, आपका अभी तक नहीं हुआ रुचि?
यस मैम।
लैब वाला पार्ट अभी तक आपका नहीं हुआ?
नहीं मैम, हो गया है मैम।
अब हो गया है ना?
यस मैम।
ओके, नेक्स्ट शिवम।
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so Shivam, what are the server side technologies?
Ma'am, which includes web application servers and a range of programming languages.
So what are the examples of web servers and the programming languages?
मैम आपकी मैम वॉइस ब्रेक हो गई थी मैम।
एग्जाम्पल बताइए, वेब सर्वर के एग्जाम्पल्स और जो आप प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस बोल रहे हैं उसके एग्जाम्पल।
मैम आपका
आवाज आ रही है शिवम?
यस मैम।
एग्जाम्पल पूछ रहे हैं आपसे, वेब सर्वर
मैम
और server side
वेब एप्लीकेशन सर्वर का
हाँ बताइए।
और टॉमकैट।
ओके,
मैम
टॉमकैट एक आपने बताया। नेक्स्ट आगे और कौन सा होता है?
मैम इंटरनेट इंफॉर्मेशन सर्विस IIS।
ओके, और बहुत सारे आप लोगों ने ढूंढे थे, आप ही लोग ने सर्च करके बताए थे, इसमें कई सारे। अपाचे वेब सर्वर, अपाचे टॉमकैट वेब सर्वर, इंटरनेट इंफॉर्मेशन सर्विसेज, जिंक्स मैप्स वेब सर्वर, ओरेकल जावा वेब सर्वर, IBM वेब स्फीयर, और भी बहुत सारे आप लोगों ने सर्च किए थे और उसको बताए थे, है ना? चलिए, प्रोग्रामिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज कौन कौन सी यूज होती है सर्वर साइड पे?
मैम जावा एंटरप्राइज एडिशन, मैम जावा ई डॉट
जावा
NET।
जावा डबल ई, एंटरप्राइज एडिशन जावा डबल ई। ओके, बाकी स्टूडेंट्स भी अपने एंड पर क्वेश्चंस का आंसर लिखते रहेंगे, ऐसा नहीं कि जो आंसर कर रहा है केवल वही कर रहा है, बाकी लोग भी अपने आंसर्स लिखते रहिए जिससे कि पुराना आप लोग को रिकॉल हो। यस शिवम, जावा डबल ई बताया आपने, और कौन सा बता रहे हैं?
NET फ्रेमवर्क।
कौन सा फ्रेमवर्क?
डॉट NET।
डॉट नेट, NET नहीं बोलते उसको, डॉट नेट फ्रेमवर्क। पहला जो है, इट्स जावा सूट ऑफ प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस दैट इंक्लूड जावा डबल ई, सर्वलेट्स, JSP, ये सारी चीजें इसमें आ जाती हैं, ठीक है। दूसरा होता है माइक्रोसॉफ्ट का जो डॉट नेट फ्रेमवर्क है, ASP.NET फ्रेमवर्क, सी हैश हो गया, विजुअल बेसिक हो गया, ये सारा ये जो .NET सूट ऑफ प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज है उसमें आएगा। ठीक, चलिए नेक्स्ट सुमित।
यस मैम।
ब्राउजर साइड टेक्नोलॉजीज कौन सी होती हैं?
मैम लाइक वेब ब्राउजर्स मैम, इंटरनेट एक्सप्लोरर, गूगल क्रोम, फायरफॉक्स।
ओके। प्रोग्रामिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज में
मैम लाइक पाइथन एंड HTML और जावास्क्रिप्ट।
सही है सर।
यस मैम, यस मैम।
और भी थी माइक्रोसॉफ्ट सिल्वरलाइट, अडोब फ्लेक्स, अजैक्स। ठीक है, ये सब इंपॉर्टेंट वाली आप मिस कर रहे हैं, इसको ध्यान रखिए। ये सारी
ओके मैम।
क्लाइंट साइड है। ठीक है, रिपीट कर रहे हैं। HTML, जावास्क्रिप्ट, इन दोनों के कॉम्बिनेशन को DHTML, डायनामिक HTML कहा जाता है। देन देयर इज अजैक्स, asynchronous JavaScript and XML, then Adobe Flex, then Microsoft Silverlight। ये सारे अलग अलग
ओके।
ब्राउजर साइड टेक्नोलॉजीज है। ओके, चलिए नेक्स्ट सुनील।
यस मैम।
हाँ, डेटा एक्सचेंज फॉर्मेट में क्या क्या है?
डेटा एक्सचेंज में मैम XML, AMT, JSON।
फुल फॉर्म क्या होता है जेसन का?
मैम याद नहीं है।
जावास्क्रिप्ट ऑब्जेक्ट नोटेशन। ठीक है। XML का फुल फॉर्म क्या होता है? इट्स एक्सटेंसिबल मार्कअप लैंग्वेज। बाकी लोग भी लिख लीजिए, इनको नहीं याद है। जेसन स्टैंड्स फॉर जावास्क्रिप्ट ऑब्जेक्ट नोटेशन, XML स्टैंड्स फॉर एक्सटेंसिबल मार्कअप लैंग्वेज। सो सुनील, इनमें से कौन सा ज्यादा यूज होता है?
मैम XML।
क्यों? क्यों XML ज्यादा यूज होता है? नहीं पता सुनील?
नहीं मैम।
ओके, चलिए नेक्स्ट यशोवर्धन।
यस मैम।
XML क्यों ज्यादा पॉपुलर है? आपको भी नहीं पता?
याद नहीं है।
चलिए ठीक है। XML एज कंपेयर टू अदर डेटा एक्सचेंज फॉर्मेट आप देखें तो वो ज्यादा पॉपुलर है, चाहे वो जेसन हो चाहे AMF हो। इसकी पॉपुलैरिटी का बहुत बड़ा रीजन ये है कि एक ये प्लेटफॉर्म इंडिपेंडेंट होता है। ठीक है, आप लोग HTML, जैसे इसमें आप लोग को पूरा एक्सप्लेन किया था कि HTML में आप लोग यूज करते हैं, HTML भी एक टैग बेस्ड लैंग्वेज है, बट उसके जो टैग्स आप यूज करते हैं वो प्री डिफाइंड होते हैं, उसको आप लोग डिफाइन नहीं करते बल्कि डायरेक्टली उनको यूज करते हैं। उसी के आगे अगर आप कंपैरिजन करें XML में, XML के केस में खुद से पूरे टैग्स डिफाइन किए जाते हैं एंड देन उन टैग्स को लेकर के एक और डॉक्यूमेंट बनाया जाता है। तो बेसिकली दो डॉक्यूमेंट होते हैं, एक में डिजाइन करी जाती है कि ये टैग होगा, इसके अंदर ये रखा जाएगा, ये इसका डेटा टाइप होगा एंड अदर थिंग्स। दूसरा एक डॉक्यूमेंट बनाया जाता है जिसके अंदर हम एक्चुअल में डेटा को रखते हैं। तो एक को बोला जाता है स्कीमा डॉक्यूमेंट और दूसरे को बोला जाता है इंस्टेंस डॉक्यूमेंट। तो ये दो तरीके के डॉक्यूमेंट बनते हैं। बहुत सिंपल होता है XML में, जब हम एक्सचेंज करते हैं कोई भी आप नोटपैड पे भी लेकर के, जैसे आप HTML एक टेक्स्ट एडिटर, चाहे नोटपैड यूज करें चाहे नोटपैड प्लस प्लस यूज करें, कोई भी टेक्स्ट एडिटर होता है उसमें आप HTML को कर सकते हैं, उसके लिए HTML के लिए कोई एडिशनल आपको चीज नहीं चाहिए होती है। सिमिलरली XML के भी केस में होता है कि आपको सिंपली एक टेक्स्ट एडिटर चाहिए होता है। किसी भी टेक्स्ट एडिटर को लेकर के आप उसमें अपने डेटा को इनकोड भी कर सकते हैं, डेटा को व्यू भी करा सकते हैं। ये इस कारण से XML बहुत पॉपुलर है। ऑल्दो XML का अगर आप साइज देखेंगे तो XML डॉक्यूमेंट बहुत बड़े होते हैं, बहुत बल्कि साइज होते हैं, बट स्टिल वो पॉपुलर है क्योंकि ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म इंडिपेंडेंट है, इजी टू यूज है। XML इतना एक्सटेंसिवली यूज हो रहा है कि आप किसी भी फील्ड में अगर आप देखेंगे तो वहां पाएंगे कि उस पर्टिकुलर XML का, ठीक है, उस XML को बेस बनाते हुए कोई ना कोई फॉर्मेट डिजाइन किया गया है। जैसे एग्जांपल दिया गया था आपको, हमने अपने फील्ड का, GIS की फील्ड का अगर आप देखेंगे तो एक लैंग्वेज है GML, ज्योग्राफी मार्कअप लैंग्वेज, जो आगे आप लोग, मतलब हम लोग जब OGC सर्विसेज वहां पर पढ़ेंगे, आगे की यूनिट्स में जब OGC सर्विसेज पढ़ेंगे तो वहां पर जब डेटा एक्सचेंज होता है, वेक्टर डेटा एक्सचेंज किया जाता है, तो वहां कोई शेप फाइल लेकर के एक्सचेंज नहीं होगा। जब डेटा ट्रांसपोर्टेशन होगा, डेटा स्टोरेज होगा, वो सब XML में होता है, ठीक है। तो XML इटसेल्फ बहुत पॉपुलर है और XML के बेसिस पर हर एक फील्ड में अपने हिसाब से उसको मॉडिफाई किया गया। जैसे GIS की फील्ड में ज्योग्राफिक डेटा होता है तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग उसको मॉडिफाई किया गया है। OGC के अपने स्कीमास होते हैं, उनके बेसिस पर इंस्टेंस डॉक्यूमेंट बना करके डेटा एक्सचेंज होता है। तो यहाँ तक हम लोग ने लास्ट टाइम पे पढ़ लिया था। इसके सिवा कुछ कंपोनेंट्स के बारे में देखा था, लाइक प्रॉक्सी क्या होती है, जो क्लाइंट एंड सर्वर के बीच में इंटरमीडिएटरी की तरह वर्क करती है। इसी तरीके से कैश, देन कुकीज, ठीक है। कुकीज क्या होता है, क्लाइंट मशीन पर क्लाइंट आइडेंटिफिकेशन के लिए एक शॉर्ट फाइल होती है, स्मॉल फाइल होती है। सर्वर जब नेक्स्ट टाइम, वेब सर्वर जब के पास में जब नेक्स्ट टाइम क्लाइंट विजिट करता है तो उसका जो प्रीवियस हिस्ट्री है, उसका नेविगेशन इंफॉर्मेशन है, वो सारा उस कुकीज के फॉर्म में क्लाइंट के सर्वर के पास में रहता है। आपका जो लॉगिन पासवर्ड सेव हो जाता है। बाय डिफॉल्ट आप देखते होंगे कई बार फॉर्म भरता है तो आपने पहले जो फॉर्म भरा है उसके बेसिस पर वो सारी एंट्री हो जाती है ऑटोमेटिकली। ये सारी चीजें कुकीज के कारण होती है। कुकीज में हम लोग ने दो टाइप पढ़े थे, एक था सेशन कुकी और दूसरा था परसिस्टेंट कुकी। एक टेम्पररी कुकी होता है जो केवल जब तक ब्राउजर ओपन है तब तक चलता है और आपने एक बार क्लोज कर दिया तो वो रिमूव हो जाता है। एक परसिस्टेंट कुकी, नाम जैसा क्लियर है, नाम से ही परसिस्टेंट मीन्स कि वो कैरी ओवर रहता है कि अगर इवन सिस्टम आपने शट डाउन करा, बाद में ओपन किया, तब भी उस कुकीज में स्टोर्ड में जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो स्टोर्ड रहेंगी। लास्ट हम लोग का टॉपिक जो था वो वेब होस्टिंग के बारे में था। वेब होस्टिंग में हम लोगों ने पढ़ा था कि ओवर द टाइम जब वेब धीमे धीमे करके पॉपुलर हो गया तो बहुत से लोग अपनी वेबसाइट डिजाइन करने लगे। वेबसाइट, अगर सपोज आप छोटा सा कोई एक सोचे कि कोई व्यक्ति की एक फ्लावर्स की शॉप है तो वो अपने फूल बेचना चाहता है, तो वो एक अपनी एक फ्लावर बेचने के लिए छोटी सी वेबसाइट बनाना चाहता है। अब वो वेबसाइट कैसे बनाना है, उसका पूरा प्रोसीजर, कि सर्वर उसको परचेज करना है, डोमेन नेम लेना है, एक बहुत बड़ा प्रोसीजर है। तो इसको करने के लिए कंपनीज आ गई कि वेबसाइट का कंटेंट आप डिजाइन कर दीजिए, लेकिन होस्टिंग वाला पार्ट, सर्वर कैसे लेना है, उसमें पावर कैसे मेंटेन करनी है, डोमेन नेम कैसे लेकर के आना है, ये सारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो होती थी ये अलग कंपनीज जो थी वो हैंडल करती थी। तो ये वेब होस्टिंग के बारे में हम लोग का जो लास्ट टॉपिक कवर हुआ था वहां तक था। चलिए आज के टर्न में हम लोग अपना नया टॉपिक स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं। वेट करिए एक मिनट। Okay. Next topic is client server, WebGIS, client server architecture of WebGIS. Okay. So before going into this topic, first of all, draw this diagram in your copy. This one is the client server architecture. Okay, generic client server architecture of WebGIS or generic WebGIS architecture. All of you must have drawn this diagram. This diagram is showing the generic 3-tier client-server architecture for WebGIS. So one by one, we will see this thing. First thing is client-server architecture. So all of you are now very well aware about the client-server architecture because we have already discussed about that one. When we were discussing about the web architecture or workflow of the web, that all going on with the help of client-server architecture. So when we say a client-server architecture, it means that there will be a client that will make a request and there will be a server that will answer those requests. Okay. Then there is another term, 2-tier and 3-tier. When we say 2-tier, in that case, there will be only 2 tiers. One is a client tier and second one will be the application server or server tier only. This right now on the screen, what you are seeing, this one is a 3-tier architecture, although it may not be appearing to you as a 3-tier, but first tier is client side, or which is known as the presentation tier. Okay. Second tier is this application server tier, which is known as the logical tier. Third one is the data tier, which includes database or any software which is used for the data generation. So there are 3. Okay. So you can see it over here. This is one. Okay. Then it is not created properly. But still you can see it over here. The green color box is showing the presentation tier. The red color cloud is showing the logical tier, and this yellow color is showing the data tier. Got it? So there are 3 things: presentation tier, logic tier, and data tier. Okay. So in presentation tier, there will be a client. All the requests will be made from this end, and all the response will be rendered at the client end or the presentation tier. If you come to the logical tier, in the logical tier, the data in the server will be placed, the web server will be placed in the logical tier. And since the web server heavily depends upon the data, therefore there is an additional tier. Nowadays, in majority of application, we have 3-tier architecture. So an additional tier called data tier is placed over here. Okay. So write it down in a copy. 3 tiers. 3-tier architecture includes presentation tier. Inside the bracket, write down client side. Second, logic tier. Again, inside the bracket, write down application server. And third, data tier. Inside the bracket, write down database and GIS data generating software.
Ma'am, due to the storehouse of database, that is why spatial database is being symbolized as the bucket.
No, this one is a typical symbol of database. This, if you see this bucket-like shape, whenever this type of shape is made, it means that this is database. Whether it is mentioned or not, it doesn't matter. There are some typical symbols that are used in architecture creation, like bucket symbol that we are saying is the database. The cloud symbol that I have created, it is usually used to represent the internet, although I have I am not using cloud in the reference of the internet, but in any of the architecture diagram, if you see such type of cloud, then it will means internet. Whether it is written or not, it doesn't matter. A cloud means internet. Similarly, this bucket-like shape means database. So these are the three tiers: logic, presentation tier, logical tier, and data tier. Now coming to them, to these components one by one. Coming to them one by one. If you see the application server or the logical tier part, all the business logic means how the things are going to be done. This is given in the server side. If we check the server, on the server side, first of all, there will be a web server. Since in GIS, we have a specific, a very different type of data because we are using the spatial data, not any regular data. We are using a particular type of data. That's why there is a need of an additional server called GIS server. Regular spatial, like, if there is a web map service request or web feature service request, these are the OGC services. A normal web server cannot handle these type of requests. So there is a need of a specific server that can handle the GIS request, so that an additional server is installed over here. So in the logical tier, the very first component is a web server. We have already discussed about the web server already. Therefore, I am not going into this one. But whenever a request comes to the web server, it will further passes on to the GIS server. Okay. Right now we are learning about the components of the client server architecture of WebGIS. So first component is web server, which is already discussed in the previous lectures. Now coming to the second part, which is the GIS server. What is GIS server? You can think of it as a specialized subset of web server. And in this, request and responses are designed specifically towards the transfer of the geographic information. So web mapping server will use HTTP. Okay? But when we see GIS server, in that case, it is specialized towards what? Towards the OGC services or OGC protocols like WMS, WFS, and others. So these are the protocols that are used for transferring the geographic information. And with the help of this one, the request will be made on the web server that will passed on to the GIS server. GIS server will process that request and return the geographic features back to the web server. Okay. There are some of the functionalities that are specifically given by the GIS server. Like if there is any dissemination of 2D maps or 3D globes, something like that. So it will be handled by the GIS server at here. Then if there is any need of geospatial processing, again, that could be done by the GIS server, not by the web server. Many times there are specific geospatial industry standards like WMS, WFS, KML, GML, CSW. We will learn about them later on when we learn the OGC services. But yes, these protocols like web server can support hypertext transfer protocol, but those protocols which are very much specific to the GIS industry, that could be handled by the GIS server only. So that's why along with the web server, an additional server called GIS server is placed over here. So I hope this question can be answered by all of the student if there is a question that why there is a need of an additional server. Why an additional server is placed in the GIS, WebGIS? So answer is because in WebGIS application, the data is different. There is a use of spatial data. Apart from this one, there are specific GIS industry standards like WMS, OGC standards, what we say. That includes WMS, WFS, GML, KML, and others. So all these could be supported by the GIS server only. That's why an additional server is placed, which is specialized towards the handling of spatial data. Now, if we see the example of GIS servers, what could be the possible examples of the GIS server? Quickly search on the internet. You have learned about the web server. You have told several examples of the web server earlier. Apache Tomcat, Internet Information Services, IBM WebSphere, Oracle Java Server. So these are the different web servers that we have studied. Now coming to the second component, which is the GIS server, what could be the different types of GIS servers that you could use? Go to the internet and search about these names, GIS servers that could be used. Yes, any name? Example of GIS server?
Ma'am, common one was their Geo server.
Okay. Yes, anyone else?
Ma'am, Map server and
Okay.
Mapnik, Map Guide, and QGIS server.
QGIS server. Cross check this answer. QGIS server. I'm not sure about that one. Check it again.
ArcGIS server, ma'am. Also.
Again, Ruchi, check the name. Yes, there is an ArcGIS server, but the name is different. There is no doubt about it. There is an ArcGIS server earlier, but it has been renamed. Check the latest name of ArcGIS server. Okay, so let's see them one by one. The first one is the map server. Okay, so what we are seeing, we are right now seeing the examples of GIS server. All of you write down the name of the GIS servers. We are visiting them one by one. For when we usually when we take, there are open source, okay, freely available web server or GIS servers. So one of the very popular name in the open source is map server. This map server was designed by at University of Minnesota. Okay, write it down, this information. I'm just reading out. It is also given in this website. So Map Server is an open source platform for publishing spatial data and interactive mapping application to the web. Originally developed in the mid 1990s at the University of Minnesota. If you remember when we were learning the ArcGIS in the very, not ArcGIS, when we were going through the introduction of QGIS, first of the Geoinformatics Lab 1 class. In that one, I have shown you the location of Minnesota and United States of America. So at that time, I have told you that later on we will learn one of the use of one of the popular server that is developed at this place. So Minnesota is a name of a state. Okay, Minnesota or wait a minute. Yes. So Minnesota is the name of state, and Minneapolis is the city inside that one. So Map Server was developed at University of Minnesota, and it is released under an MIT style licensing and run on all the major platforms, which includes Windows, Linux, Macintosh. Map Server is not full-featured GIS server, nor does it aspire to be. Then you can see some of the example which is developed over here. Birthplace of Map Server, they are showing on their map also. So if you want to download, you can download the Map Server from here. So the very first example that you have learned is Map Server, where it was developed at University of Minnesota. Therefore, sometimes the name is University of Minnesota Map Server. Okay. So this is one of the GIS server that can handle the geographic layers, that can perform the spatial functionalities, visualization, analysis, and other things. Second, and very popular, and we are also going to use this one in our laboratory session. Okay, towards the end of our laboratory classes, it is very among the last of the practical over there. So GeoServer, second example is GeoServer. Again, a very popular, since it is Java based, therefore it is frequently used with Apache Tomcat. Okay. So GeoServer is an open source server for sharing geospatial data designed for interoperability. It publishes data for any major spatial data source using open standard. So this one is the second example, GeoServer. And as I told you that this one is a very popular GIS server, and we are also going to use this one. Okay. So you will learn how to place data on the GeoServer, how to deliver different type of OGC services by using the GeoServer. So you have learned two names. Okay. All of you must have written it down, Map Server and GeoServer. You have learned two names of GIS server. Now coming to the next, any other name? Yes, there was GIS. Yes.
Mapnik.
Okay.
MAPNIK.
Mapnik. Okay. I'll just wait for a minute. So there is ArcGIS web server, but I think so they have changed its name. Earlier it was ArcGIS server, but I think so later on it has been changed. I'm just checking the latest name. If any one of you got the latest name of ArcGIS web server, then please share that one. Probably it is ArcGIS server. But I think so it is ArcGIS services. Okay, leave it. I will see it later on. But anyhow, one of the name is ArcGIS web server. Okay, ArcGIS web server. Another name is Mapnik. Okay, so this one is another name. Mapnik. Mapnik combines pixel perfect image output with lightning fast cartographic algorithm and exposes interfaces in C++, Python, and Node. There is one thing that you need to see. In which programming language it is developed? Like GeoServer is developed on Java. So it will be compatible with the Apache Tomcat. But Mapnik, it is appearing to me, it is developed using C++, Python, and Node. So it may or may not be compatible with Java-based web server. So this is what we need to check. There are several options that are available for the GIS server, but we have to check before selecting them regarding the compatibility of GIS server with the web server that we are going to use. They need to be compatible with each other. Okay. So one of the example is Mapnik. Any other example?
Map guide.
Yes, there is Map Guide. This one is the Autodesk product. Okay. Map Guide open source is a web-based platform that enable user to develop and deploy web mapping application and geospatial web services. Map Guide features an interactive viewer that includes support for feature selection, property inspection, map type operations such as buffer, select within, and measure. So a detail is given over here. So another example is Mapnik. Okay. So this one is the Mapnik.
Ma'am, this logo which is on left top side, OSGeo, this
Yes.
is this logo was there in many web pages.
Yes. Yes.
What is
So
that,
this is
ma'am?
basically, yes, OSGeo, open source GIS. This one is for that one. Right now, I think so they have renamed as Boundless. The name is changing quite frequently, so it is difficult to remember which one is latest, but it is right now appearing OSGeo. So if you check, if you search about the Boundless, this Boundless. Just wait for a minute.
Yes, ma'am, it is an open source platform.
Yes, it is right now not opening, but yes, Boundless is Boundless was there, but I do not know why it is not
Yes,
opening right
ma'am.
now.
It is coming like Boundless introduces open GIS platform for enterprises.
Yes. So there are several like previously it was OSGeo, but nowadays there is another Boundless is there. They all are the open source initiatives. So these are very popular initiative because when you work in on the web GIS, the open source is one of the very big criteria. So these are the different you can say initiatives that have been taken in the field of open source. So that's why you will find this particular OSGeo, open source GeoCompass, your open source GeoCompass. So you will find this particular logo at several places. Now coming to the next. So map server, geo server, ArcGIS server, Mapnik, Map Guide. So we have covered till now 5 different GIS server. Yes, anything else?
Ma'am, GeoMazas, MAJAS, ma'am.
Okay. Wait a minute. So there is another called Pro Server. Okay. So there is Pro Server. This Pro Server is of sorry. So Map Info is the name. Another one is Map Info. Okay. Then another one is GeoMedia Web Map. This one is of Hexagon Geospatial. This one is not freely available. Any other popular name of Hexagon Geospatial? Any popular software which is distributed by Hexagon Geospatial? One is we are right now watching is GeoMedia Web Map. This one is another example of GIS, Web GIS map server. Is there any other popular product of Hexagon Geospatial? Answer this question because you all of you know its name. Hexagon Geospatial. I have already given this name somewhere earlier. Can you recall that one? Where you have heard this name, Hexagon Geospatial? No answer? Search about the ADAS, imagine. If you search about the ADAS, imagine, you will find initially it was Intergraph product. Now it is known as Hexagon Geospatial's ADAS, imagine. Okay. ADAS Imagine is the product of Hexagon Geospatial, and when we are talking about the GIS server, another name called GeoMedia Web Map, this one is also a product of Hexagon Geospatial. So I hope so all of you have written the several names that we have learned. I am repeating them. Make sure that you have written them all. GeoServer of University of GeoServer, then Map Server of University of Minnesota, then ArcGIS Server of ISRI, then Map Guide of Autodesk, then GeoMedia Web Map of Hexagon Geospatial, then Map Info of ProServer, okay, then MapNIC, and I think so I have covered all the names. So these are the different options that are available and that can be used as the GIS server. Okay. Again, coming back to the topic, this figure. So when you install this GIS server, so you have learned about the different options, different softwares that you can use at this particular place. Okay. Coming to the next component, which is the GIS database. GIS database means, or spatial database is the place where we are going to store all the spatial data. In general, it is database, but since we are developing a WebGIS application, therefore, instead of using simply database, we are using a term called spatial database. Database is a very important component because whatever is answered by the web server, whatever response is delivered by the web server, it is taken from the spatial database. If there is any type of processing, like if there is any query, okay, I want to locate all the nearby fire stations. So it is basically answered with the help of data which is stored inside the spatial database. The quality of the output completely depends upon the database, whatever data we are storing, how much accurate that data is. That's why creation of a database is a very important task. Previously in GIS, you have learned that many times it is 60 to 70% time of any GIS application that is taken by the database creation and development phase. So database creation is a big part. It need to be correct. Otherwise, as you remember the term garbage in, garbage out. If the incorrect data placed inside the database, then we cannot get the proper output. Can you name some of the possible softwares that can be used over here as a spatial database?
Ma'am, like USGS Explorer.
No. USGS Explorer is a geoportal. It is not a database. Database is where we are going to store the data. We have covered this topic in the GIS. You have learned about the different type of softwares. You have learned about the different names. So over there, we have learned this spatial database. Any example of spatial database? Okay, I am giving a hint. There was an elephant over there in the logo. Again, no answer. So there is a PostGIS/Postgres. Okay, PostGIS/Postgres. This one was the name of popularly used GIS database. Although different options are available, but PostGIS/Postgres is the open source spatial database that can be used. Okay, we cannot use the traditional database. Again, the same thing that in GIS, we have different type of data, not a regular text data, numeric data. We have a different type of data over here. That's why we need such type of database that support the spatial data, that can perform the processing of spatial data. The analysis, the queries of spatial data is also different from the regular data. That's why we need a specific database for the GIS. And among some of the options, not a lot of options are available, few options are available for the spatial database, but among them the most popular one is the PostGIS, PostGRE SQL. Okay, so remember this name, it is an important one. You must remember right now also. The spatial database is PostGIS/Postgres. So some of the examples are listed over here. Okay, if you search about them in Wikipedia, like Apache Drill, Arango Database DB, GeoMesa, H2, Ingress, Neo4j Spatial, but this one is the most popular. PostGRE SQL with PostGIS. Several options are available. Not several, few of the options are available, but among them, this is the most popularly used database. Remember this name, PostGRE SQL with PostGIS. Okay. Now the next topic after the GIS database, the next part is GIS software. So since we have already covered this part in the previous semester in GIS, so I am not going into this one. But overall, you have learned about different components that are placed inside the GIS server. ठीक है, सो सर्वर साइड पर जो अलग अलग कंपोनेंट होते हैं, एक टिपिकल वेब जीआईएस का जब हम एक एप्लीकेशन डेवलप करते हैं, उसका जब हम आर्किटेक्चर ड्रॉ करते हैं, तो सर्वर साइड के जो अभी दो टीयर हुए उनको कंबाइन करके, लॉजिकल टीयर और डेटा टीयर दोनों को कंबाइन करके जो अलग अलग कंपोनेंट यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं, वेब सर्वर, जीआईएस सर्वर, स्पेशल डेटाबेस एंड जीआईएस सॉफ्टवेयर. सो इन चारों कंपोनेंट के बारे में देखा, इनमें से दो कंपोनेंट ऑलरेडी हो चुके थे, बाकी बचे तो जीआईएस सर्वर और स्पेशल डेटाबेस हम लोग ने देखा. इनके एग्जांपल्स जो अभी आप लोग को दिखाए गए उनको याद रखिएगा. किसी भी अगर हम लोग क्योंकि लैबोरेटरी सेशन में इसको फर्दर डेवलप करेंगे, तो वहां पर हम लोग वेब सर्वर के तौर पर अपाचे टॉमकैट लेंगे एंड जीआईएस सर्वर के तौर पर जियो सर्वर लेंगे. ठीक है, तो ये दो कंपोनेंट हमारे रहेंगे. लैबोरेटरी में हमारा यहीं तक लिमिटेड है, लेकिन अगर किसी को आगे इसको एक्सटेंड कराना है तो PostGIS विद PostGRE SQL को यहाँ पर आप डेटाबेस की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं, और उसको पॉपुलेट करने के लिए किसी भी जीआईएस सॉफ्टवेयर का, चाहे QGIS हो, चाहे ArcGIS हो, जियोमीडिया हो, कोई भी जीआईएस सॉफ्टवेयर को यूज करके इस डेटाबेस को पॉपुलेट कराया जाता है, इसमें डेटा इनपुट कराया जाता है. तो ये पूरा हम लोग ने क्लाइंट साइड के कंपोनेंट्स के बारे में देखा। अभी 10 मिनट्स का ब्रेक आप लोग को दे रहे हैं एंड देन आफ्टर द ब्रेक हम लोग क्लाइंट साइड पर क्या, अभी तो आप लोग को केवल एक ही पता है, वेब ब्राउजर, बट वेब ब्राउजर के सिवा भी दूसरी चीजें हैं जो कि क्लाइंट एंड पर यूज करी जा सकती हैं। वो कौन कौन सी हैं, उनके एग्जाम्पल क्या क्या हैं, ये हम लोग ब्रेक के बाद देखेंगे। ठीक है, सो 10 मिनट्स ब्रेक एंड देन हम लोग क्लाइंट साइड पर कंटिन्यू करेंगे। Okay, then let's start the class. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So till now we have learnt about the server-side components of the WebGIS. Okay, so the basic architecture has been covered, which is data tier, logical tier, and presentation tier. Okay. So we have covered the logical tier part and the data tier part. This part has been done. Now we are going to this presentation tier part. So the client can be a web browser, it can be a desktop or mobile. Anything can be a client over here. Okay. So if we discuss about the WebGIS client, so see this part. If we see this client part, the client play two important roles. First thing is it represents the end user interface of the entire system. When you open any of the thing like so right now what you are seeing, I have opened the Bhuvan portal. Okay. I have opened the Bhuvan portal and whatever you want to see, you can just click over here. Okay. Like I want to see the urban growth. City, suppose Allahabad. Okay. So right now what you are seeing a web application, WebGIS application over here. Okay. This is the front end. This is the front end that all of you are watching right now. This one is showing the urban growth in Allahabad. Yes. So they are using different color like orange for 1991, purple for 1999, blue for 2009, yellow for 2014. So you can, by just watching this one, you can identify the urban growth that have taken place in Allahabad and in which year this development has took place. So when we talk about the client, one of the major part or the very first use of the role of the client is to represent the end user interface of the entire system. So with this one, the user can interact, the user can give the input, the request can be made to the server, and then the result could be represented on the client end. Like I have given the input of on the Bhuvan's portal. On the Bhuvan portal, I have selected this urban growth monitoring. Okay. From here, I have selected the urban growth modeling. Once urban growth modeling is clicked, the urban growth modeling interface has been opened. Thereafter, I have given the input of city. Okay. I have given the input Allahabad over here. So once I have given the input of Allahabad, the request will be has been sent from my computer to the server. My computer received the response and renders the output. As you can see on the screen, you can see the output over here. So this is first and the major functionality of any of the client, which is already discussed earlier also. Here also you can see. Second thing is some of the task. Okay, some of the task could be done at the client end also. Some of the analysis can be done by using the client machine resources. Some of the analysis could be done. So this one is the second role. Till now what we have discussed, that client was just making a request and receiving the response, displaying that response. That's it. Apart from this one, there can be another part, another role, like some of the processing could be done at the client machine. Okay. Coming to the types of client, what can be used as a WebGIS client? First and the foremost, commonly used by everyone is web browser. Whether it is this Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, whatever, Apple Safari, whatever is used, these are the different options for the web browser. The web browser are the main type of WebGIS client. So earlier, static HTML and simple JavaScript used. Nowadays, we have a lot of very good technologies like Ajax, like Adobe Flex and Microsoft Silverlight. These are the different type of technologies that are available that are used to create a very good, very user-friendly, dynamic interfaces. Now, coming to the second one, what can be other than this web browser? What can be the other option? Other option could be some desktop application, some desktop software. Like right now, I have opened the QGIS, Quantum GIS software, and this part has earlier done by you also. If I want any of this, okay, if I want OSM, Open Series Map, I can open that one. If I want Landsat, I can use at the, I can open the Landsat image at the background or wherever I want. So this is how a request is made from the desktop application to the web. In this case, who is the client? Not a browser. I am not using a browser. I am using a QGIS software over here. So in this case, the client is QGIS software, means there is a desktop application, there is a desktop software which is making a request, which is receiving a response, displaying the output. In this case, instead of web browser, it is desktop software, which is the client. Okay. All of you, when you were creating a layout map in the previous semester in the laboratory session, you have used this OpenStreetMaps over there, isn't it? So in that case, you have the output, and that output is received from the internet. In that case, desktop application was the client. As compared to the web browser, if you see the desktop application, it has more access to the local resources like local files, local database, peripheral devices of the system. So they are more resource intensive as compared to the other application or browser based applications. Now coming to the third example, I have opened Google Earth Pro. Okay. Here again, if I want to request some of the roads, okay, this one is the Allahabad. I want to see some roads. I will just click over here and I will get the data of road over here. It get displayed over here. I want 3D buildings. It could be displayed over here. So whatever I want, I will just check over here and that information will get displayed. In this case, who is the client? It is a virtual globe. Okay. This Google Earth is the example of as you can see over here, this one is a globe. Okay. So that's why it is called a virtual globe. It is a 3D representation of Earth and it allows to freely move around in the virtual environment by change. Sorry. Yes. So if I want to change the view, okay, I can change the angle, I can change the direction, whatever I want to change, I can make all sort of changes over here. Okay. So this is the example of virtual globe. There are so many other products that can come under the virtual globe. One of the popular one is Google Earth. All of you are using the Google Earth. Later on in the tutorial session, when we do this KML coding, over there also you will use Google Earth Pro. Other than Google Earth Pro, there is NASA Whirlwind. Note it down if you can't remember that. NASA Whirlwind is a 3D globe or a virtual globe. NASA Whirlwind, Microsoft Bing Maps, Skyline Globe. I'll just open them.
Ma'am, these are examples of globes.
Virtual globes.
Virtual globe.
So you can open at your end also later on. But this one is the NASA Whirlwind. You are using Google Earth Pro, but there are other options also which are available over here. So you can use NASA Whirlwind. Then there is Skyline Globe. Okay. So there is a Skyline Globe. And then it is not opening, but there is Microsoft Bing Maps. It is again not opening, but yes, you can see just like the Google Earth or Google Maps you are using. Here also you can find this. Okay, here also you can find all this. The globe part is not opening, but you can see just like the Google Map, this one is the Bing Map. So these are the different, again, these are the different type of client, virtual globe. Next one is the mobile client. Same thing. You can use any of the GIS application on the mobile. So you can access that one by using the mobile browser, or you can install any of the app. You may have already installed some of the app like some Google Earth app, or there is Hair Map app. Different apps are available through which you can access the geospatial data. Or at different places, there is a need of spatial data which is requested over there. So overall, if somebody say what is the client, our first answer comes is web browser. But other than web browser, also there are different things that can work as a client, like any desktop application or desktop software can work as a client. Then there can be virtual globes, there can be mobile client. So these are the different options that are available, and they can also work as a client. So client can be of different types. So by this, we have covered this client server architecture of WebGIS. And thereafter, we are moving to a very interesting part. Okay. This interesting part is the thick and thin client architecture. Before I explain this part, what is thin client architecture and what is thick client architecture, first of all, you yourself go to the internet and search what is thin and thick client architecture. This is not specific to the WebGIS. It is like for any of the web application, this one is true. An application can be a thin client architect, can be based on a thin client architecture, or it can be based on a thick client architecture. Okay. So quickly go to the internet and search what is thick and thin client architecture.
Ma'am, that is thick and thin client. Okay, okay. Ma'am.
Okay, so Bhagat, what is thick and thin client architecture?
Uh, browser-based applications, browser installation.
Bhagat, it is not clear what you are saying.
Yes, sir. Thin client is browser-based installation, and thick client can be installed locally.
No, read more about it. Read more about it. Okay, any answer for thick and thin client architecture?
Ma'am, Thin Client is a software that is primarily designed to communicate with server, and it do not have a storage capacity. Therefore, the data is stored in a remote server. It basically works by connecting with the remote server where application and data are stored. And Thin Client Server is a software that implements its own features, and they are not dependent upon the application of server, as they have their own software application and operating system.
Okay. Yes, anyone else? Okay. Let's see what is thin and thick client architecture. In today's channel, I will cover the thin client part. You know, if you see this architecture, this one is a typical WebGIS architecture, web browser, web server, and map server. Many times, or most of the times, what happens, the client is just only used to send the request and display the results. Not at all any processing is done at the client end. There is only one thing that client is doing, sending the request and displaying the response, receiving the response and displaying that one. But if you want to do any of the processing at the client end, in that case, it could not be done. This type of architecture in WebGIS, or in general, it is called the thin client. As the name suggests, thin and thick. So thin and thick is given on the basis of the functionalities that can be performed, the resources that are available over there. So in case of thin client, very less resources are available to the client. Just one system, okay, suppose I'm taking a browser over here. So just a desktop with a browser is needed along with the internet connectivity. Okay, if nothing else is installed in that system, no problem, because the user will make a request with the help of web browser only. Browser will receive the response and display the response. So such type of architecture is called thin client architecture. Now, if you see the best part of this architecture, there is a minimal requirements at the client end. Okay, there is a minimal requirement at the client end. That's why this is considered to be a very simple. Like suppose if you are developing any application for, suppose for a common man, for the farmers and someone like that. So those people who are not involved in the technical field, or those who are not very sound in the technical field, they can just see the output. They cannot perform much of the processing at their own system or on their own mobile. So in such type of cases, the thin client architecture is used. In this one, usually the output is sent in the form of web-friendly file format like JPEG, GIF, PNG, something like that. So web-friendly file formats are used, and in this case, the vector data are not supported. HTML doesn't support the vector data, therefore, any of the vector GIS data is not supported in such type of thin client architecture. In this one, the web server is connected to the internet server, or map server, by using different technologies like CGI, which stands for Common Gateway Interface, Web Server API, Application Programming Interface, Servlets, ASP, Active Server Pages, JSP, Java Server Pages. So these are the different technologies that are used to connect the map server with the web server. Why? Because a web server is receiving the HTTP request that need to be passed into parameters so that it could be processed by the map server. It can be any type of GIS server, map server, geo server, mapnik, ArcGIS server, whatever is present or whatever is used as the GIS server. But first we need to break the request into the component that is sent to the map server. Okay, so this is how the thin client architecture works. If we see the advantages of such type of architecture, this architecture does not need any type of software other than the browser, other than the client. No other software is needed at the client end. So the requirement is very basic. Second thing is, most of the processing, or you can say all of the processing, is done at the server end. Again, because of this, the client does not need a powerful computer, and even a low-end computer could work well in this case. There is a centralized control in this one. The centralized control is done by the server end. So that's why if there is any update in the software or any update in the data, spatial data changes over the time. So any type of change that is taking place, it is taken care by the server at the server end. Therefore, the client always gets the recent data. Like if you open the OSM, OpenStreetMap, Somebody else is maintaining that data. You are not maintaining that data. Any type of new construction work takes place, like there are new overbridges, flyovers that have been constructed in the city. So such data is updated by the people who are working at OSM. All the volunteers are taking care of that one. As a client, I don't need to think about this. So whatever data, whatever functionality is there, we always get the updated version. Why? Because it is centrally controlled by the server. Any type of update is very easy as compared to the other methods. Okay, so these are the advantages of the thin client architecture. Coming to the disadvantages part, what are the possible problem in the thin client architecture? Could you name some? You have listened to the advantages of this architecture, thin client architecture. Could you think about some of the disadvantages of this system?
Ma'am, like no offline working and constant communication with server is required. Ma'am, these type of things.
Yes. Yes. Anyone else? One of the major disadvantages missed. I have already discussed about it. It is the vector data. One of the biggest problem is vector data. Thin client architecture does not support the vector data. This is one of the problem because HTML doesn't support the vector data. Therefore, this architecture, thin client architecture, doesn't support the vector data. We need special plugins for that purpose. Another thing is whole control is at the server end. Okay, so since this whole system is controlled by the server, therefore at the client side, if there is any customized need, okay, customized need means if there is some specific need of a specific client that could not be catered. A general solution is given to all, but any localized need, customized need, that cannot be answered over here. Then for even a small functionality, like if there is any even some zooming operation, panning operation that is taking place, every time the browser has to make a request to the server and receive the response. So there are several round trip delays. Every time there is a request to the server and the response is displayed on the screen, the browser cannot have any type of raw data that could be processed afterwards. Okay. Therefore, every time, even for a small functionality, repeatedly there is a request made to the server. So the server has a lot of burden in this type of architecture. The browser cannot do even a small functionality in this case. So this is what the problem with the thin client architecture, that most of the thing is handled by the web server. Okay. There is one more thing that is CGI. Okay. So when there is any request that is made, see this functionality, work process of CGI based internet GIS. The browser will make a request to the server, web server, that will invoke the CGI script. What CGI script will do? It will break the request into the parameter and send the parameters or the variables to the GIS server. The GIS server will will perform the processing and return the results, and these results are further translated by the CGI into what? Into the MIME type, multi-purpose internet mail extension, because HTTP works on MIME type only. So CGI script will translate the results into the MIME, and finally the results get delivered to the browser. Okay. So this is all about the functionality of the thin client architecture. If there is any type of question or if anything is not clear to you, you can ask. दिस इज द इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट, थिन क्लाइंट थिक क्लाइंट। थिन क्लाइंट में अगर कोई चीज़ आपको नहीं समझ में आई है, कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं क्लियर हुआ है, तो आप पूछ सकते हैं, उसको फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर देंगे। Okay, then I'm coming to the second part, which is the thick client architecture. Okay, thick client architecture. Okay, I think so. You have not drawn this diagram. First, draw the diagram of thin client architecture. Quickly draw this diagram.
Ma'am, what you told this full form of the IMS, which what map server, ma'am? I stands for.
Internet map server, but instead of writing IMS, write it GIS server. Don't write IMS over here. Write GIS server. Web browser, web server, and GIS server. Now draw this one. This is the thick client architecture. If you see this thick client architecture diagram, you can find at the client end, there are some new boxes, plugin, Java applet, JavaScript, and ActiveX. This one is the only difference. If you compare the previous thin client and thick client, this thick client diagram is just like the thin client architecture diagram, but there is one addition. At the browser end, there are 4 boxes: plugin, Java applet, JavaScript, ActiveX. These are the functionalities that are added at the client end. So if we see the thick client architecture, so in case of thick client architecture, some of the analysis, some of the data processing could be done at the client end. Means by using the local client resources, local machine resources, the analysis could be done. So in this case, there is a need to empower the client, and how this empowering is done by installing the plugins, by using the Java applet, JavaScript, ActiveX. This is how the client or the web browser is empowered. In this one, some of the raw data, it is not just the completely processed data which is delivered to the client, but raw data could also be sent to the client, which could be processed by them at their own end. So this is the thick client architecture. There are different functionalities which are used over here. First one is the plugins. Okay. All of you must have installed the plugins in your own system. What is the use of the plugin? If you see the diagram of this one, okay. So in plugin, whenever a software module means plugin is like a software module which is installed on the web browser. You might have at your end also you have installed some of the plugin like Adobe Flash. Okay? If you don't install that one, the video will not get displayed. So many times we install some of the plugins at our own end. So when you install a plugin, it will provide capability to your web browser to open certain type of file extension. In GIS, plugins sometimes used for the operation such as zooming, panning over there. Okay. Another option is it is more powerful than plugin is GIS applet or Java applet. Okay. Applets are the Java means these are small code written in Java programming language. These code are again executed. It is just like the HTML document. Inside the HTML document, a small section of code is embedded. Okay. So if you see the applet code, you will see the HTML code, and inside that one, applet part is embedded, placed inside that one. So again, by using the local machine, the execution of the data will be done and the results will get displayed. Third type of thing is ActiveX control. Okay. In case of ActiveX control, these are the provided only with the Microsoft Internet Explorer. So that's why they are considered to be platform dependent. These ActiveX control works on the Microsoft Internet Explorer. Therefore, it is not advised. Wait a minute. So these ActiveX controls are provided in the Microsoft Internet Explorer. Some of the functionalities could be done by using this control, but usually it is not recommended to use them in a standard internet application because these are platform dependent. Okay, so these are the different technologies that could be used at the client end. In the next turn, I will discuss about the advantages as well as the disadvantages of the thick client architecture. Okay, So that's it from my side for today. If there is any question from your end, you can ask. Okay, I'm getting no questions. So I will upload this PDF on MS Teams before coming in the next lecture, that is on 25th of January. So before coming into that lecture, please go through this one. Whatever is covered in today's turn about the WebGIS architecture, you need to revise that one. Just like the this session, I have started it with some type of small viva or discussion from your end. In the next run also, I will ask some of the question from you from the WebGIS architecture. Okay, so prepare it, read the PDF. If you have any confusion, because this is very important topic, the architecture part is very useful, very important. So if you have any question, if you doesn't understand any of it, okay, you can ask. कोई इसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आया, ये भी आप पूछ सकते हैं कि हमें कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा, कोई पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन नहीं समझ में आ रहा, कुछ पोर्शन नहीं समझ आ रहा, कोई टॉपिक नहीं समझ आ रहा, आप उसको भी पूछ सकते हैं. ठीक है, लेकिन इसको पढ़िए. जब तक पढ़ेंगे नहीं, रिवाइज नहीं करेंगे, थोड़ा सा नेट पे जाकर के उसके बारे में नहीं ढूंढेंगे, तब तक याद नहीं रहता है ना. आप अभी पढ़ करके समझ जाइए, लेकिन जब तक आप उसको रिवाइज नहीं करते हैं, उससे रिलेटेड एप्लीकेशंस को नहीं पढ़ते, आप उसको कभी भी याद नहीं रख पाते. तो हमेशा एक कंप्लेन आएगी, जब आपने पढ़ाया था तब तो समझ में आ गया था, लेकिन हमें रिकॉल नहीं हो पाता है ना. ये कंप्लेंट आप लोग की ओर से आया था पिछले सेमेस्टर में. तो उसके लिए रीड करना बहुत जरूरी है. इसको हम अपलोड कर देंगे. साथ ही साथ में SIP का कल एक ट्यूटोरियल का डेटा हमने अपलोड किया है. साइज उसकी थोड़ी सी ज्यादा है, तो वीकेंड पे जब कोई क्लास नहीं होगा तो आप लोग इजिली उसको डाउनलोड कर लेंगे. तो वीकेंड पर मेक श्योर कि SIP का जो भी ट्यूटोरियल डेटा हमने अपलोड किया है, उसको दिखा दे रहे हैं एक बार. क्लास मटेरियल्स के अंदर ये ट्यूटोरियल का एक फोल्डर बना हुआ है. इसके अंदर डेटा में इलाहाबाद लैंडसैट इमेजेस पड़ी हैं. ठीक है, ये डेटा इसमें हमने डाला है. डेटा का साइज थोड़ा सा बड़ा है, तो इसको अपना वीकेंड पर आप लोग डाउनलोड कर लीजिएगा, जिससे कि नेक्स्ट कमिंग मीन्स, अच्छा नेक्स्ट वेडनेसडे तो छुट्टी होगी, 26 ऑफ जनवरी. ओके, सो लेट्स सी, जब भी हम लोग का नेक्स्ट होगा, शायद 24 को ही करा दें, या फिर 31 या 2 ऑफ फरवरी, जैसा भी रहेगा. इसको हम लोग देखेंगे कि किस तरीके से इसके ट्यूटोरियल को हमको स्टार्ट करना है. तो आप लोग ये डेटा जो है लैंडसैट का जो इसमें दिया गया है, इसको डाउनलोड कर लीजिएगा. So thank you all of you. The class is over for now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome to all.